Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Entering the DeMera residence with force, Kristen angrily criticized EJ for having Brady detained once more in the absence of any proof. Kristen was told by a composed EJ that he had an eyewitness, the victim herself. He boasted about Sarah's unexpected return to recollection, but Kristen wasn't convinced. EJ was aware that Sarah had been lying through her pearly white teeth, she declared. When EJ questioned Kristen about her doubts about Sarah's memory recall, Kristen angrily said, "Because I'm not an idiot." Kristen informed EJ that Sarah's memory restoration attempts had been unsuccessful even with Marlena. The fact that Sarah's memory had reportedly returned immediately following the dismissal of Brady's charges struck Kristen as convenient. EJ argued that Sarah was a Horton and not a schemer like them, calling her a stand-up citizen. EJ was forced to recall that his stand-up citizen had twice lied about being the father of her children by Kristen. The siblings' verbal sparring intensified when Kristen claimed that EJ had turned his anger towards Nicole on Brady, to which EJ responded that Kristen was still in love with a man who detested her. Kristen shouted that she would stop EJ before she walked out, vowing that he would make Brady pay for injuring Sarah. Tate went to the police station to see Brady. Brady shocked Tate by admitting that he hadn't had any alcohol the night before. Tate stated his misgivings and remained doubtful, but Brady argued that his strange conduct was the result of something else. He begged Tate to take him seriously. Tate took a pause to clarify that he was 100% behind his father and that he believed Brady. Admire B&B, Days, General Hospital, or other soap operas. Participate in the discussion on our SC boards. To interact with fans and start a conversation right now, click this link. In addition to expressing gratitude for Tate's belief in him, Brady apologized for how the circumstance had affected his kid. Brady reassured Tate that he had a lot of supporters, including his grandparents, but the teenager became defensive when Brady brought up Holly. Brady stood up for Holly and asked Tate to give her more time after Tate acknowledged that he and Holly had been fighting. Tate wasn't sure if he could forgive Holly for not caring about him, especially in light of what she had done. Tate revealed to Brady that Holly had looked for proof against Brady when Brady questioned her. Tate held himself responsible for allowing Holly inside and for inadvertently disclosing to Holly Eric's involvement in Daniel's demise. Brady acknowledged that he and Eric had caused harm to Holly's family, but he insisted that Tate was not to blame for Holly's outburst. Brady became enraged when Tate brought up the possibility that EJ was responsible for Holly's conduct. Before Tate left, Brady and Tate confirmed their love for one another. Once his kid had departed, Brady cursed EJ. Kristen appeared in the questioning room shortly after Tate's arrival. She wanted to assist after learning about Sarah's assertions. Brady expressed his dismay by shaking his head, but Kristen reassured him that she could get rid of Sarah and solve the issue. Brady was appalled by Kristen's recommendation to either take a page out of Connie Vaninsky's book or send Sarah back to the island. He cautioned Kristen to wait for justice to be served. Brady expressed his opinion that the young girl would get along with Kristen when she mentioned Rachel. Kristen proclaimed her love for Brady and swore to do whatever it took to keep him safe, even though he tried to get her to promise not to make things worse. After Kristen departed, EJ strode into the room and started bragging about how he had Brady in the crosshairs while Brady stewed in fear and panic. With a sly promise, EJ declared that Brady's days of avoiding punishment were gone. Holly tried to flee after seeing Sophia leave the restaurant and seeing her outside the bistro. But Sophia halted her, growling about Holly's new after-school job. Holly reminded Sophia that her one and only employment had resulted from blackmail from Sophia. Is Holly the new teen detective that the DA's office has hired? Sophia asked cynically. Holly pretended not to know, while Sophia claimed to be aware of Holly's actions at Tate's house. Sophia accused Holly of seeking to copy juvenile crime solvers like Harriet the Spy, Veronica Mars, Nancy Drew, and Charlie Cale. She also labeled Holly's behavior low, even for you, and she chastised Holly for using Tate. With great pleasure, Sophia told Holly that Tate had told her everything, and she threw down the gauntlet to Holly to prove that her powerful ex-stepfather had backed her in the botched scheme. Holly sighed, realizing she didn't have to explain herself to Sophia. Sophia retorted that Holly had taken all of her problems out on Tate, which was why he continued returning to her for consolation. She went on to say that Holly was giving Tate over to her gift-wrapped, as she had been a sexually repressed, hot mess from their early years. Holly slapped Sophia for her smug statement that she would satisfy Tate in a way that Holly could never. Tate stormed up at that point, demanding to know what Holly was doing. Holly told Tate that Sophia was the one who began it, as Sophia covered her face and pretended to be innocent. Holly began to make excuses, but Sophia interrupted, claiming that Tate was not interested in listening to her. Then Sophia went on to say that she had been unable to resist confronting Holly about what Holly had done to Tate. Holly, who was shocked, questioned Tate's sincerity and challenged Sophia to acknowledge the words that had been spoken before to the slap. Holly was interrupted by Tate, who said that she had caused enough trouble for the day. He said he could take no more. With wide eyes, Holly inquired if Tate was ending their relationship, while Sophia observed with hope. Holly declared things over before Tate could reply, saying she'd save him the trouble. She turned to walk away, sniping that Sophia and Tate deserved each other. Tate failed to halt Holly. Sophia, meanwhile, smiled contentedly. Holly, Ashley Puzimis, and Tate, Leo Howard, announced their separation. Holly, Ashley Puzimis, and Tate, Leo Howard, announced their separation. Xander read an article regarding Brady's arrest at the Titan offices. Eric entered the office as Xander was saying that the son of a bitch was going to pay. He wouldn't go until he had a conversation with Xander. Xander threatened Eric, observing from behind his desk that any appeals on Brady's behalf would be met with indifference. Eric made it clear that he wasn't there to support his brother's absolution. Rather, Eric calmly inquired as to why Xander had been standing over a barely aware Brady in Brady's room and what he had been doing there. Xander falsely claimed to have wished to inform Brady that the crime would not get away with him. When Xander arrived on the scene, Eric quizzed him about how Brady had allegedly been smashed. Eric was reminded by Xander that Brady was inebriated and had most likely been drinking prior to Xander's arrival. Eric made eye contact with Xander and stated that he didn't trust a word he said. Xander asserted that he had no motive to lie. Brady's account of meeting a man who identified himself as a fellow AA member was related by Eric. Eric conjectured about Brady's sudden illness that followed their handshake. Scoffing, Xander inquired as to what Eric was implying. In response, Eric said he would say it straight out. Xander had hired a thug to pursue Brady. Eric promised he would find out the truth even though he was unable to pinpoint Xander's exact motivation. Eric's accusation was refuted by Xander, who then became irate and told Eric to leave his office. Later, when Xander was by himself, he took a revolver out of his desk and vowed to take care of Brady personally if the legal system faltered once more. There at the park, Fiona took a seat next to Sarah to talk. Sarah wondered what Fiona wanted to talk about. Fiona came right out and said that she was aware that Sarah had lied the night of the incident. Sarah questioned how Fiona could possibly be aware of her thoughts. Sarah nudged Fiona for an explanation, and she flashed back to the accident. Fiona said she'd heard Sarah tell Xander the truth about her deception. Fiona was curious as to why Sarah had told lies to the authorities. Sarah admitted that she had done it for Xander's and Brady's sakes. She then revealed Xander's plan to assassinate Brady, which shocked Fiona. Fiona's guilt increased as she took in Sarah's story's specifics. Eventually, she blurted out that the entire thing was her fault.